Alright, so that's that flower. Let's go ahead and return.
And real quick, guys, we'll let you know that I have a new course, Practical Sci-Fi Design. You will learn to effectively model inside of 3ds Max and plasticity, and then use V-Ray to create procedural materials. And all without leaving Max. You will learn how to do color correction, volume light, lens effects, and use V-Ray's decal system to create quick decals. So be sure to check that out in the description.
I'll just go ahead and hide these for now. Alright, so now we've got for the center, I think it may be a good idea to simplify this a little bit. So what I can do here is just simply select this and then use the dot ring to select every other ring. Remove that. Use dot ring again. Now I can go ahead and have a much easier time, because remember, the simpler your topology, the easier it is to create nice smooth results. Alright, and one thing I may also want to do is just go ahead and remember, if you have a complex cylinder with many sides, if you remove some of the sides, you may have to change the size of the cylinder, because you'll get a little gap here. And also you may want to go ahead and I'll go ahead and just kind of inset a bit here and delete that and just insert some basic loops. And I just need to go ahead and maybe scale it on the X and Y axis out a little bit. There we go. So we got a nice little flower here. And we can go ahead and continue. So I'll go ahead and once again select 4 polygons and go ahead and detach that as a clone. And I'll just go ahead and stretch it out here. Delete these. And I'll go ahead and make some clones. 5 instanced clones. And I'll go ahead and isolate it for now. Alright, let's see what we need to do here. Alright, first we need to go ahead and move it back a little bit and delete half of it. So let's see. Here it may be a good idea just to kind of delete all of this and just go ahead and insert a loop through here. Set up symmetry. Set up a turbo smooth as well. It may be a good idea to have 3 iterations to better estimate the angle here. Okay, this may be a little bit too sharp. And just kind of gradually, see, all we have to do is move around this one edge and we can get a wide variety of shapes. So this is an example of keeping things simple. You can see on this shape, for example, it's not quite symmetrical. It's more shaped like an egg. So we want this to kind of be up here. Alright, maybe I can move this a little bit to the left here. So what I basically will do now is go ahead and just insert a loop through here, and I'll go ahead and just move it up a little bit. like that. And it may be a good idea to set up Z symmetry as well. So I'll just go ahead and copy the Z position here and make a new modifier, symmetry, and paste it right here under mirror. So now I have Z symmetry and X symmetry. And it may also be a good idea to insert a couple loops through here. And there we go. We've got this kind of detail. We can reduce the iterations now just to make it a little bit simpler. And you can go ahead and determine if this is, for example, if I think that it's not quite sharp enough here, I can just go ahead and move these edges closer to the middle. And if you would like to make this thicker, if you want, you can use a push modifier, but make sure to put the push modifier on top of the symmetry modifiers, because if you put push now, it will be pushing beyond the borders of the symmetry, and you may get strange results like this. So definitely put that push modifier on top of the symmetry modifiers. Alright. So there we are. You may want to go ahead and make it a little bit sharper. So let me go ahead and remove these edges. And put them back in. Alright, so there we are. Now we just need to go ahead and create this one as well. But let me go ahead and just adjust the shape of this one a little bit more. Let me go ahead and delete this on the left. I can go ahead and collapse at this point and set up symmetry. And I will just go ahead and move this around a little bit. And you can also feel free to insert additional edges to give yourself more control. All the edges that you insert will give you more control over the shape. Alright, now to create this one on here, let me go ahead and select these and maybe rotate them around. Right, about right there. So in order to create these details on the edges here, we can go ahead and actually start from something like this. So let me go ahead and copy these modifiers. And so what I can simply do is copy these edges, copy these polygons, for example, and I'll go ahead and detach that as a clone. I'll select a new object, kind of rotate it back here, and actually what I can do now is reset the X form, and paste those modifiers back, flip it, and we should now have a piece of geometry that very closely fits with these. Alright, so let me go ahead and also make a clone of this so I can have something that's not being blocked by anything. So basically what I need to go ahead and do is move this. That was the planar X tool. Make sure everything is in the center. Weld. Make sure we only have these polygons here. Alright. Now it may be a good idea to go ahead and copy these modifiers and apply a shell modifier. And then of course delete the center. Just kind of fix up a few areas here. Alright, and now we need to go ahead and create this kind of effect here. Gonna move this up a little bit. So sometimes it can get a little bit tricky creating these kind of details. You just have to be a little bit careful, a little bit patient, and just kind of keep on modeling until you get something that looks quite close. And of course, when you're modeling some details like this, don't worry too much about clean topology. Right now, we're focused more on getting an accurate shape, like so. Now, sometimes you get geometry that clips through each other, intersects. That's fine with these types of details because it's kind of the nature of things and how the materials interact with one another. So, don't worry too much about clipping issues. You can try and minimize how visible it is just by kind of moving certain things around. Alright, and once you're satisfied with the detail, I need to go ahead and just kind of move this, or maybe move this down a little bit. There we go. Alright, once you're satisfied with the detail, you can go ahead and rotate it around. Alright? And one way that you can kind of minimize this is by starting with a more complex mesh, establishing your curvature using Turbo Smooth, making sure you have a lot of geometry to work with, and that will make it easier to model these types of details. Right now, because I will be making this kind of mesh, I went ahead and just kind of kept things as simple as I could. And remember, it's not really a problem because once you turbo smooth it, you will get quads anyways. So as long as it looks good, you can go ahead and keep that topology. Alright, and finally we need to go ahead and get this cylindrical detail around here. But you can see that it's not just cylindrical, there's also a little bit of geometry here as well. So we'll have to go ahead and figure something out about that. So let's see. Alright, so I'll go ahead and once again copy the Z position here. And then what I basically do is select these edges and kind of extrude them out. And delete the center. Alright. And now let me go ahead and center the pivot. So basically what's happening here is I'll go ahead and shell. And I'll set a value high enough to contain all this detail. I think this looks good. And then I'll go ahead and either with, let me go ahead and isolate. And what I'll do is delete this. And now I'll go ahead and extrude like so. And the purpose for this is once I insert some control loops and apply a symmetry modifier on the z-axis. Let's see. Here I'm using set flow, or I can also go ahead and just kind of scale and just kind of move this up. Let me go ahead and move this up a little bit as well. Paste in that z value. And I will get this kind of shape. And I wanted to go ahead and cover the essential areas, but not intersect with the geometry too much. So I may have to do a little bit of editing to make it fit better. I may have to go ahead and select this and move it down a little bit. Let me also go ahead and apply a symmetry modifier here as well. Alright, so if you find that it's not quite working, you can try modifying some things around. You can try moving out the outer edges a little bit. You can try selecting the different pieces and maybe just kind of adjusting their position a little bit. Or one thing you can do is simply just cut out the geometry that you want. For example, what I can simply do is once again leave myself with 8 sets of polygons to work with. So I'll just go ahead and select 8 and 8 right here, Control I and delete. And I'll basically cut it in such a way. I'll also delete the left side, remember, working with X symmetry as well. So basically cut it in such a way that it's not going over here. So let me go ahead and make this transparent. So basically I'll just go ahead and make several cuts right here and delete this. So there we go. Now it's only affecting this geometry right here. So it's just small adjustments here and there to make things, match up a little bit better. Fix small clipping issues and things like that. Just testing out the turbo smooth here. There we go. Alright, now I'm ready to go ahead and rotate it. I'll make it a copy, not an instance, because I want to go ahead and just attach them all together. And weld. And turbo smooth. As you can see, it's still clipping a little bit, so what I can do is just, but you can see even now I get kind of a nice shape here. I may want to go ahead and reuse this shape for later as well, because I like this kind of shape. So I'll just go ahead and make a clone of that, and I'll put that in my layer where I keep my extra unused designs that I may choose to come back to later. Alright, so what I can do is just go ahead and select these vertices, exit isolation mode, and just maybe scale it out a little bit more. Like that. Alright, so that's it for this one. Join me next video where I'll go ahead and model some of the other components and we can get started kit bashing them together. And once I'm done modeling, I will of course provide them for your use. And one more thing that we need to do is fix this up as well. What I will simply do for this is, so this right here, it'll never be visible on the inside, so what I can do here is simply scale it up a little, scale it down a little bit and delete that. Insert loops through here to even this out. If I plan on doing any sculpting, it's a good idea to have a nice amount of loops here. Like that. And maybe insert some loops through here. Alright. So once I'm finished modeling everything, I'll go ahead and provide them for you as well. So you can have a nice collection of different ornamental shapes to use in your own designs. And if you come up with anything interesting, please share them with me. Let me know how you've used them. Thank you for watching and take care.